Good evening, and welcome to the April 2nd Council meeting. If you'd please stand and join us in the flag salute. It'll be led by Councilman Lucio this evening.
Put your right hand over your heart. Ready, begin.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, Mark. Okay, our first proclamation this evening is for Arbor Day, which is April 5th. I'd like to call up Frank Sotomayor, Assistant Public Works Services Manager for the City of Chino, and Steve Lewis, who's the president of our Chino Youth Museum. Whereas in 1872, the first Arbor Day in the United States was held with over 1 million trees planted in Nebraska. The National Arbor Day Foundation celebrates Arbor Day in April, and the City of Chino has been recognized for 24 years as Tree City USA by the National Arbor Day Foundation. Trees in our city increase property values, enhance the economic vitality of business areas, and beautify our community. Trees can reduce wind and fire erosion, cutting heat and cooling costs, clean the air, produce life-giving oxygen, and provide habitat for wildlife. And whereas trees are a renewable resource, giving us paper, wood for our homes, and fuel for our fires, and countless other wood products, and whereas through the cooperation of the residents of the City of Chino and community groups, the benefits of planting trees and proper conservation practices can be passed on in an enduring heritage of vital natural resources to the city, to the citizens of Chino. Now, therefore, I, Eunice Emiloa, Mayor of the City of Chino, do hereby proclaim April 5th, 2019 as Arbor Day in the City of Chino, and encourage each citizen to observe this day by planting one or more trees and by participating in the First Friday event at the Chino Youth Museum to learn more about the importance of Arbor Day.
Good evening, Mayor Yulo and council members. I'd first like to start off by thanking everyone for being here tonight and being part of this proclamation. I thank you all for recognizing the city's 24 years of dedication towards Arbor Day. As you may know, the city has approximately 30,000 trees within its city right-of-way. In 2018, we planted 200 trees throughout the city in efforts to diversify our urban forest. Adding different species of trees is really important to our community because it allows us to continue to improve our aesthetics, but also introduce a new habitat to our environment. Our focus for 2019 will be to provide an attractive, safe, and beneficial urban forest by delivering high-quality tree management and maintenance practices that promote civic responsibility while serving the needs of our community. So I thank you all for allowing me to be here tonight and be part of this proclamation. So now I'll turn it over to Steve so that we can hear more about the Arbor Day.
Thank you, Madam Mayor and City Council members. I want to also recognize Nancy Lewis and Gloria Smith. They're both dedicated volunteers on our Chino Youth Museum board. I want to definitely invite everybody out to the Arbor Day. It's this first Friday on April the 5th. It'll be free. We'll have entertainment from Queen Green and her eco-friendly entertainment, along with crafts where kids can get their own plant and get their hands a little dirty. So definitely come on out and enjoy the Youth Museum just right across the street. Thank you.
Thank you, Steve, and thank you, Frank. Thank you for being here. It is a fun event, so if you can, please go to First Friday. And I'd like to present you with this proclamation. Thank you very much. Next, we have a proclamation for Autism Awareness Month. I'd like to call up Melissa Cardona, Resource Specialist, Nicole Aptekar, Board President, Autism Society Inland Empire, and Steve Lewis again, President of the Chino Youth Museum. Whereas this is our new helper this evening. He's not used to this. Whereas autism is a lifelong neurological disorder with current statistics bringing it to 1 in 59 children diagnosed with an autism spectrum disorder in the United States. Autism affects each individual in different ways and can range from very mild to severe, knows no racial, ethnic, or social boundaries, and affects young and old alike in the city of Chino. Our understanding of autism has grown tremendously since it was first diagnosed. There is no known cure for autism. Accurate early diagnosis and the resulting appropriate education and intervention are vital to the future growth and development of the individual. And whereas hope lies in a broad spectrum of treatments and in an informed public and community committed to providing support and service to individuals diagnosed with autism spectrum disorder. And whereas the Autism Society Inland Empire has been serving the Inland Empire for over 30 years with a mission to improve the lives of all affected by autism. Whereas the Chino Youth Museum and the Autism Society Inland Empire partner to provide events and resource fairs to increase the awareness of resources available to families affected by autism. Now, therefore, I, Eunice Emiloa, Mayor of the City of Chino, do hereby proclaim April 2019 as Autism Awareness Month in the City of Chino and encourage all citizens to join the effort to raise awareness of autism.
Thank you, Mayor, for that lovely recognition, and council members. We greatly appreciate it. Melissa and I both have children living with autism, so this really touches our heart deeply. Also, this is very appropriate, today being April 2nd, it's World Autism Awareness and Acceptance Day. So this is highly appropriate and very fitting. There are 14,000 individuals living with autism in the Inland Empire and 54,000 families affected with autism, living with autism in the Inland Empire. So partners like the Chino Youth Museum, these partners mean a great deal to us. Our children frequent the Chino Youth Museum, take advantage of the autism play together dates, and this means a lot to us. I'd like to also mention that we do have our autism walk coming up. It's in San Bernardino Valley College, Sunday, April 14th. That's our big fundraiser. That's where we raise the funds for programs and services to help those living with autism. So thank you very much for this honor.
You're welcome. Steve, would you like to say anything about the programs?
Yeah, thank you, Madam Mayor and City Council. I just want to thank the Society for the Inland Empire. Have been a wonderful, tremendous partner with the Youth Museum for almost a year now with the Play Together events. And our next event is going to be the last Friday of the month on April 26th. So everybody come out, pre-register, I believe, for the event, but come out, kids, parents, family members, just therapists, everybody come out and have a good time in a nice, safe, wonderful environment. Thank you.
Thank you very much, and thank you for being here and raising our awareness of autism. Thank you. Okay, next we have Child Abuse Prevention Month. I'd like to call up Dr. Wendy Lee of Children's Network of San Bernardino County and Anna Lizeth Ordonez, Community Services Coordinator with the City of Chino. Thank you, Jack. Whereas April 2019 has been designated as Child Abuse Prevention Month by county, state, and federal governments for the purpose of promoting community involvement in preventing child abuse. The City of Chino, Chino Valley Unified School District, and County of San Bernardino believe all children have the right to receive the care, protection, and guidance a family provides to be free from harm and to have their physical, emotional, and educational needs met. More than 32,000 children in San Bernardino County were referred to Children and Family Services for suspected child abuse and neglect in 2018. The Adverse Childhood Experiences, or ACE, study demonstrates long-term health, social, and economic risks that result from childhood trauma. And whereas the City of Chino, Chino Valley Unified School District, and the County of San Bernardino provide services and professionals in the field of child abuse who are dedicated, compassionate, and skilled in the prevention of child abuse. Child abuse and neglect can be reduced by ensuring each family has the support they need to raise their children in a healthy environment. And whereas the City of Chino, Chino Valley Unified School District, and the County of San Bernardino recognize the blue ribbon as the international symbol for child abuse prevention in order to raise the community's awareness and support for this cause. Now, therefore, I, Eunice Emilioa, Mayor of the City of Chino, do hereby proclaim April 2019 as Child Abuse Prevention Month in the City of Chino and encourage all citizens to join in the effort to end child abuse.
Thank you, Madam Mayor and member of the council. And thank you for everyone in Chino. We're just so happy to be acknowledged for this month of Child Abuse Prevention Awareness Month. And for more information on reporting child abuse, it's anonymous reporting. Please dial 211, and the caller will be connected to the child abuse hotline. And each one of you serve as the eyes and ears for your community. And it only takes 1 minute to make that phone call, and that you could help the child and family's life. I would just like to say that the statistics from last year, 2018, child abuse referrals received from this San Bernardino County in 2018 is 31,335 children. And average month referral is 2,635. So in 2018, the statistics in Chino, City of Chino is 437. So Chino, you guys are doing an amazing job, and I think we have a really great partner here with the Chino Human Services. Would you like to see?
Thank you, Mayor Ulloa and council members, for your continued support of the Community Services Department. Here at Chino Human Services, counselors and case managers provide support services to families who have experienced child abuse in their home. During this month, we would like to remind our community to keep a vigilant eye on our youth and report any suspected child abuse. Counselors and case managers work in partnership with San Bernardino agencies such as the Children's Network to provide support and resources to our families. And thank you again, Dr. Wendy Lee, for coming in and accepting this proclamation. Thank you.
Thank you, ladies. I think these statistics about child abuse and autism, it's very, very troubling. But hopefully, with all the services that both of you provide, we can stop a lot of this abuse and get more understanding about autism. Thank you very much for being here. Oh my gosh. This is a busy night. One more proclamation. DMV Donate for Life proclamation. I'd like to call up Robert Ralston, Ambassador for Donate for Life, California. Hi, Robert.
Hi, nice to see you.
Nice to see you, too. Whereas organ, tissue, marrow, and blood donations are life-giving acts recognized worldwide as expressions of compassion to those in need. More than 113,000 individuals nationwide and more than 21,000 in California are currently on the National Organ Transplant waiting list. On an average, 20 people die each day while waiting due to the shortage of donated organs. More than 600,000 units of blood per year are needed to meet the need in California. And whereas at any given time, 6,000 patients are in need of volunteer marrow donors. A single individual's donation of the heart, lungs, liver, kidneys, pancreas, and small intestine can save up to 8 lives. Donation of tissue can save and heal the lives of up to 75 others, and a single blood donation can help 3 people in need. Millions of lives each year are saved and healed by donors of organs, tissues, marrow, and blood. And whereas the spirit of giving and decision to donate are not restricted by age or medical condition, over 15 million Californians have signed up with the state-authorized Donate Life California Registry to ensure their wishes to be organ and tissue donors are honored. California residents can sign up with the Donate Life California Registry when applying or for renewing or renewing their driver's licenses or ID cards at the California Department of Motor Vehicles. Now, therefore, I, Eunice M. Ulloa, Mayor of the City of Chino, do hereby proclaim April 2019 as DMV Donate Life California Month. And in so doing, we encourage all Californians to check yes when applying for or renewing their driver's license or ID card, or by signing up at www.donatelifecalifornia.org or www.vidacalifornia.org. Would you like to say a few words?
Yes. First of all, thank you very much, Honorable Mayor Eunice Ulloa and esteemed council members. You guys have been wonderful over the last 7 years. I think we've been doing this now. I've been the ambassador for the city of Chino, and you guys have been so wonderful in supporting our cause. The cause is, it grows exponentially each year. First of all, in my case, in about 2008, after a hernia surgery went awry, and I had already had a weakened liver from my childhood, I ended up on the liver transplant list caused by a MRSA virus contracted during the hernia surgery. I was on the liver transplant list for 3 years, getting sicker and sicker every year. At the end of a doctor's appointment with my wife, Sue, and I in October 2008, the doctor said, "You got about 6 months, you know, get your affairs in order." I was running out of time. I was on the list in California. I was about 116 people down the list at Scripps in San Diego. I got dual listed, and I got the gift of life from a man from Tennessee on December 18th, 2011. And I'm here to tell you, organ donation saves lives. It saved mine. Since then, I was able to walk all 3 of my daughters down the aisle in marriage. But it's just that important. And, get that pink dot on your driver's license. And when you cross over, you could be a hero. At that untimely moment for that family, that terrible time for that family when they lost their loved one, that family and that man decided to give me the gift of life. And I'm here, and I've made it my quest ever since I could stand to make sure more people get lucky like me.
Well, I want you to know that I had to renew my driver's license today, and because I'm older than dirt, I had to go actually take the written test. And so I made sure that I, again, checked that box. All right, so somebody's going to get part of me someday. I don't know if that's a good thing or bad.
We're like old Chevys, they work forever,
well,
even if they're not with us.
Well, that's true. Thank you very much. Okay, now I don't know, are Raul and Marina Mendoza here? Don't know, they didn't respond. Well, they have the Mayor's Home Beautification Award for this month, and if they'll show the picture on the house, we'll be sure to get them their picture and their lapel pins and their writing pens, and of course, the coveted yard sign. A lot of ceremonials this evening. Okay, Mr. City Manager, do we have any additions or revisions of the agenda?
Yes, Mayor, I would request that we return or continue item number 14, pull that item from the agenda, and we'll bring that back at a later time. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you, Matt. Okay, next are public announcements. First, I'd like everyone to mark their calendars for the 17th Annual Chino Kiwanis Corn Feed Run Car Show and Cruise that will be happening on Saturday, April 13th at 8 a.m., right here at the Chino Civic Center. This is one of our most anticipated events with classic cars, open header contests, music, food, and much more. The event is open to all pre-1975 cars, motorcycles, and big rigs. There's also a $10 discount for all those who register by this Friday, April 5th. So if anyone has any event registration questions, please email the Kiwanis representatives at cornfeedrun@aol.com or call 909-591-4162. And lastly, at the March 19th City Council meeting, the City Council adopted resolution number 2019-008, signifying the city's report to participate in the Wyland Mayor's Challenge for Water Conservation. This challenge is a community-based competition among cities across the country to be water-wise so that we may not only conserve water, but promote the preservation of all natural resources. The City of Chino will participate in the 30,000 to 99,999 population category. The city that records the highest percentage of those who take the pledge to be water-wise will win their respective category. If Chino records the highest percentage of participants, then all Chino residents who take the pledge may be eligible to receive up to $50,000 worth of prizes. All those interested in taking the pledge are encouraged to visit mywaterpledge.com to reaffirm your dedication to conserving water. As we enter into this competition, I would like everyone to take a moment and enjoy the following video that explains the Wyland's Mayor's Challenge purpose and importance to our community. Hi, I'm Eunice Uella, and I have the honor of serving as Chino's mayor. By saving water, our community saves energy, money, and valuable resources. That's why I'm encouraging you to take the National Mayor's Challenge for Water Conservation, April 1st through the 30th. By making a simple pledge to save water and reduce waste, you're not only doing your part for our community, you can win any of hundreds of prizes, including $3,000 for your home utility payments. You can even help a local charity win a 2019 Toyota Highland Hybrid to help serve the community. By participating, you're pledging to take simple actions that make a big difference. Check out these examples.
Swap out a bath for a shower and save 10 to 25 gallons of water.
Fix that leaking faucet. Just 10 drips per minute wastes more than 500 gallons per year.
Don't do your laundry until you have a full load.
Use a refillable bottle or cup rather than buying multiple bottles of water.
Turn off the water while you brush your teeth.
Use a drip irrigation system instead of a hose or sprinkler. You could cut your water use in half.
Let's show the other cities around the nation how Chino takes care of our planet. Make your pledge throughout the month of April at mywaterpledge.com. Stuck. Oh dear. Oh, there we go. Okay, so take the pledge, go on that website, and let's come out number one like we always are in everything that we participate in. Okay, next on our agenda is public communication. This is the time and the place for the general public to address the council about items that are not on the agenda elsewhere. While we'd like and enjoy sometimes to enjoy your comments, we can't take action on any item that's not on the agenda. Okay, our first request to speak this evening is for our invocation from Mr. John Mata. I'd like to invite everyone who wants to join us to please stand. Mr. Mata is from Calvary Chapel, Chino Valley.
Well, I'm Craig Arnhart. I'm better looking than John Mata,
Whoops.
so.
Your substitute.
Yeah. So anyway, thank you very much for having us. And also on behalf of Pastor David Rosales, thank you for having us here. And we'll just go ahead and pray.
Okay.
Father, I just thank you for this day. And I thank you, Father, for all you're doing in this great city. I pray for the kids that we were just hearing all the proclamations. I pray, Father, that you would just draw them to yourself, but also, Lord, that you would protect them. I pray for this city and ask, Lord, that you would just protect and keep the police, firemen, and also the city workers safe as they're out doing what they do. And I also pray for this council. Give them wisdom and understanding, Lord, from above, Father, that they would make the decisions for all of us who live here. In the name of Jesus, amen.
Amen. Thank you very much. Okay, next written request to speak is Debbie Barr.
Good evening, Mayor, Council. I have a couple of comments tonight. First of all, I would like to remind all of you that you need to be a little more aware of the Brown Act sometimes. We had a discussion last council meeting that pushed the limits to the extreme. Anything that's going to be discussed that falls under your governmental or legislative authority is required to be agendized, noticed, and to allow for public testimony. You can make comments, brief comments. You can discuss items that need to be placed on a future agenda, but when you debate the merits of an item, that requires an agendized item. So just please be cautious. It's a matter of perception. Second, I would like to thank Mr. Galante and his team, especially Ross Trendle, for the excellent resolution to the weekly case. If you remember, that was the case we kind of stumbled on at the beginning. It had to do with Ayala Park, and they were able to obtain very, very beneficial settlement terms. So now we have the time we need to take care of the problem. And as the mayor mentioned earlier, we are always number one, and I just want to make sure that we give recognition and congratulations tonight to our police chief, Karen Comstock, and the Chino PD barefoot racing team for placing and getting recognition on an international Baker to Vegas Challenge Cup relay.
Thank you, Stubby.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, we have a tradition here where students in the audience are provided the opportunity to come forward and give their names, school they attend, the class they're taking, and their teacher's name. They're required sometimes by their teachers to attend a council meeting. So, gentlemen, I see two in the back. Would you like to come up? Oh, wait, there's two more on the side.
So, hi, my name is Isai Ramirez. I go to Ruben S. Ayala High School, and I'm part of Mr. Allen's government class.
Thank you.
I'm Seth Silva, and I go to Ruben S. Ayala High School, and I'm here for Allen's government class.
Thank you for being here this evening.
Thank you for having us.
You're welcome. And we have two more.
Hi, I'm from Don Lugo, and I'm from Miss Carpenter's class. I'm Betsy Caballero.
Thank you.
My name is Victor Avendano, and I'm from Don Lugo, representing Carpenter's class.
Thank you very much. Thank you for being here this evening. Okay, those are the only students that I see in the audience, and those were the two written requests to speak. Is there anyone else in the audience that would like to address the council on any item that's not on the agenda? Okay, seeing none, we will move on then to the consent calendar, noting that item number 14 has been pulled and sent back to staff. Do any council members wish to have any items pulled or have any comments?
I do.
Yes, Mr. Hargrove.
Could I get item 4 and 13?
Absolutely. We will pull 4 and 13. Is there a motion for the balance of the calendar?
So moved.
Okay, now it's working. Okay, there's a motion from Councilman Hargrove and a second from Mayor Pro Tem Howie for the balance of the calendar, and it passes unanimously. Item number 4 is City Hall on the Move Outreach Program. Did you wish to have a staff report?
No, just a quick comment.
Okay, go ahead.
I just want to say thank you to the city staff and the city manager for, seems like a very quick turnaround on this. I know probably you've been anticipating maybe having to look into it for a little bit of time, but I appreciate so much that we're going to finally take City Hall on the move and out to the community and let those individuals that don't have the time or opportunity to come here have questions answered if that's what they so desire. And I guess we'll see over time how productive that is and if that's something the city really appreciates. And the only thing I just want to maybe just simple comment is that I know it's going to be difficult. It's going to have to be one of those weekend things too. And I know we've planned one day already in the preserve. I don't have that on the top of my head. Maybe you can comment on when that is, but I appreciate we're going out there as well, especially right off the bat. So that's all my comments on that.
Okay. Matt?
Yeah, and just to follow up, our first Chino City Hall on the Move will take place in the preserve on Wednesday, April 24th. It'll occur from 5 to 8 p.m. So that'll be our first, but we plan on doing this on a quarterly basis, and we would like to do this, as noted in the report, we'd like to do these at all the grocery stores because everybody needs to pick up food, and it's an opportunity to interact with our community. So we will be promoting these both in social media and also on our website.
Terrific. Okay, then would you like to make a motion on item number 4?
Wait, I
yes.
have one other comment.
Mark? Another Mark?
The only thing is, I think we should, in the future, I understand this was already said, but in the future, I'd like to see it maybe on the weekend because I know a lot of people can't make it. I can tell you, I generally get off at 5. And to start at 5 would probably be hard for a lot of people to make, especially if they're commuting. So I'd like to entertain the idea of doing it on the weekend, so that everybody can attend and make it easier.
Absolutely, and that was the intent. We had a kind of a commitment to the preserve to do a workshop that included a lot of information related to the development activity. But we will do that on the weekend, absolutely. Thank you.
Any other comments? Okay, then a motion would be appropriate. There's a motion from Councilman Hargrove, second from Mayor Pro Tem Howie. And item number 4 passes unanimously. Item number 13 is notice of completion, water treatment services for Eastside and Benson. This item is to accept the water treatment services for the treatment facilities project constructed by R.C. Foster Corp. Corona as complete. Mr. Hargrove.
So again, I don't need a staff report. I just find that as a new council member and looking at some of these items that come before us, the cost and expenses of these things, right? So I just think it's important that the community understands that we're not just spending $1,000 or hundreds of thousands of dollars. In this case, it's nearly $5 million for one water treatment facility. And I know it's really important, as I understand, and I'm learning, well, I'll never learn about everything about water. I've learned that quickly because it seems to be so complicated in Southern California. But one of the things that I notice is that cleaning up these contaminants are very costly for us, but they have savings associated with them in the end, right? I mean, if we close down facilities, but I mean, maybe if you want to comment on that in some respects, that's fine, but I just want to make sure they knew the cost association.
So this item, if you recall, it's probably been almost a year and a half ago, the state identified a new contaminant, which is known as 1,2,3-TCP. And essentially it was an application to a lot of the ag. It was a spray. It was prepared by or developed by the Dow Company and other companies. As a result of this contaminant, we actually were very proactive and we retrofitted 2 of our treatment facilities. One was the Eastside Treatment Facility, and the other one is we have a facility on Benson Avenue. And the cost, as Councilmember Hargrove referenced, the cost to do that was $5 million. There are other agencies out there, and I won't name specific ones, but there's one just to the west of us who they weren't as proactive, and now they're dealing with it today, and that they've had to shut down their wells, and they're purchasing water from other locations. So I say that to compliment our staff that they took this action. It was expensive. This is part of, it's covered by our water fund, which is separate from our general fund. It's also important to note that not only did we retrofit in our facilities and we no longer will have that contaminant, but we're also going after, we're initiating litigation to recover our costs. So we hope to be, to recover that $5 million in which we invested into the facility. So with that, if there's any other questions, I'll be happy to answer, but kudos to our water staff for being proactive in this area. And water obviously is a necessity that we need to make sure that we take care of this item.
Well, and we're going to get hit with probably other contaminants that they're either discovering or increasing the level of treatment, and it is very, very, very expensive. But as you mentioned, a neighboring community had to shut down all of their wells, and they're importing all of their water. It's very serious. And I, too, want to congratulate our staff in being so proactive. Thank goodness you guys are on it all the time, especially Dave and Amanda. I mean, they're amazing when it comes to anything having to do with our water system. Any other comments? Okay, Mr. Hargrove, we would entertain a motion. Angela? Motion from Councilman Lucio, second from Councilman Hargrove, and this item passes unanimously. Okay, next on the agenda is public hearings. This is prior to a vote of the City Council. Any member of the audience will have the opportunity to address the Council on any items listed under public hearings. Council requests but not required that you state your name and address prior to making any remarks. Item number 16, adopt resolution number 2019-010, amending Chapter 12 of the Chino Municipal Code, adding Section 12.30, Wireless Telecommunications Facilities in the Public Right-of-Way. This item is to adopt an urgency ordinance amending the Chino Municipal Code, Title 12, Streets, Sidewalks, and Other Public Places to include Chapter 12.30, Wireless Telecommunication Facilities in the Public Right-of-Way, and introduce the first reading of ordinance number 2019-004. I'd like to declare the public hearing open, and our staff report tonight will be provided by, well, it said Nick, but I think that's changed. Fred, are you going to provide? Okay, by our City Attorney, Fred Galante.
Yes, thank you, Madam Mayor, members of the council. Well, I will partly provide the staff report by just making an introduction. We have several components of the proposed action before this council in this one item, and one of my partners, Lana Lehman, is here today, who has been living and breathing these telecommunications issues, and more particularly these small wireless telecommunications facilities and the quickly changing regulatory framework for those. So with that, I'd like to turn it over to Lana, and she will explain why you have so many components, and is happy to answer any questions. Thank you.
Thank you. Good evening, Mayor and council members. And I believe we have a PowerPoint presentation for you regarding this. Lana Lehman, and I work with Fred, and yes, I have been living and breathing this wireless telecommunications issue since September, at least, of last year. So wireless telecommunications is actually a very unusual area of land use law in that you actually have a federal agency that directly oversees wireless communications. That is the FCC. It's also an unusual area of land use law because it is a hybrid of both public works, because we're largely dealing with facilities that are located in the public right-of-way, and also planning, because you're dealing with issues and uses of poles that deal with views and aesthetic issues. We're looking at both a policy adoption tonight and also an ordinance adoption tonight. And as Mr. Galante summarized, we're looking to do this by a parallel urgency ordinance process and also your regular ordinance process, which is your first reading, introduction, second reading, plus 30 days for the effectiveness of that. So I think generally everybody knows what wireless telecommunications are, but everybody probably has a cell phone. But I do want to expand upon that just a bit in that we expect to be seeing much more in terms of applications and magnitude of applications from the industry for these small cells, because we are no longer talking about just cell coverage anymore. We're no longer talking about dropped calls anymore. We're talking about data capacity. It could be video streaming. It could be the Internet of Things. If you have, a security system at your home, for example, that you can check on your cell phone, and your cell phone can see who's at the front door. That's the Internet of Things, and that type of industry expansion is likewise creating an expanded need for wireless facilities. In general, we're looking at gap fillers to cover that type of data capacity. They have a range of about 300 to 600 feet, called 400 feet. So you have to expect to be seeing these applications come into areas like residential zones. Some of the largest need is in residential zones. As you know, what we're talking about in terms of applicants, we're talking about wireless carriers like AT&T and Verizon. You also have what we call carriers. These are the carriers builders. Crown Castle is an example of a carriers builder. They come in, they're the applicant, they process the applications and put in the build needs for, say, AT&T. At this point in time, the main drive is for the installation of wireless telecommunications with equipment within the PROW. That stands for public right-of-way. You're typically looking at installations upon existing street lights. That's the main one. It may be SCE-owned poles. If the city owns its poles, you may be seeing these installations upon city-owned poles. We will eventually, at some point in time, have to come back and revisit your zoning code and revisit the possibility of these and how we regulate these in terms of private property. But because these companies have a right under state law, it's PUC section 7901, 7901.1, because they have a right to occupy the public right-of-way, and because that was the main drive of the new FCC order, that is the change that we are proposing now, and that is where we are seeing the most application pressure. So when I speak of the new FCC order, on September 27, 2018, the FCC issued a new order that dramatically changes the landscape of wireless telecommunications within the public right-of-way. Again, emphasizing that we are primarily here talking about the public right-of-way only. And there are deadlines set within that order. Although it was issued only on September 27th, there are already certain aspects of the FCC order that have already taken effect as of January 14 of this year. There are other key aspects of the FCC order that we need to comply with by April 15. The primary aspects of the FCC order that we need to comply with by April 15 is that we need to have our aesthetics and design standards in place by that point in time. Not that we cannot adopt them later, we could, but as long as, for any point in time after April 13, April 14, if we don't have our aesthetic standards in place and an application comes in, we waive them. We don't have anything in place. So we need to have something in place by that date. So how do we do this? And how do we propose to do that? As Mr. Galante mentioned, our first proposal is to adopt an urgency ordinance. And I will go ahead and read that by title. We're doing both an urgency ordinance and a regular ordinance. The urgency ordinance is an urgency ordinance of the City Council of the City of Chino, California, amending Title 12 of the Chino Municipal Code, adding Chapter 12.30, Wireless Telecommunications Facilities in the Public Right-of-Way. We're also proposing a parallel regular ordinance. This would be an introduction. The title of that is an ordinance of the City Council of the City of Chino, California, amending Title 12 of the Chino Municipal Code, adding Chapter 12.30, Wireless Telecommunications Facilities in the Public Right-of-Way. Thirdly, as a third action, we are recommending, as authorized by the urgency ordinance and the parallel regular ordinance, the adoption of a policy. I want to be clear that the urgency ordinance and the parallel regular ordinance are exactly the same. It's just a slightly different adoption process, but the titles, it's exactly the same. Under the ordinance, we authorize a policy that is adopted by resolution. So there is a resolution action proposed for you this evening, and the purpose of that is to help us address some of the changeability in both the law and the legal requirements that just seem to be a constant moving target, both from the FCC and from the changeability of the technology. Significant other changes in the proposed ordinance is that the FCC order shortened shot clocks. You might be asking, well, what's a shot clock? It's not just for basketball. A shot clock in wireless telecommunications terms is a time frame, a deadline, a set deadline that you have, that your city staff has to process a wireless small cell application that comes in and is submitted from day one to the date that they have to be ready to build. And if you don't meet that shot clock under the new order, you have a presumptive violation of federal law on your hands. The FCC's order shortened the shot clocks to 60 days for action, that's final decision, on an application for existing structures, and 90 days for an application that would be the installation of, say, a new pole. With what that means in terms of, practically speaking, for your ordinance, this means we had to come up with a whole new mechanism for processing these, because with those shot clocks in place under the federal law, there is no possible way to bring these applications through a discretionary hearing process, a Brown Act process, an agenda process. So we essentially created a fully internal administrative process. I wouldn't say that it's over the counter. I wouldn't say that it's a ministerial process. We have tried to reserve to city staff as much discretion as possible for purposes of overseeing the design and aesthetics of these facilities. But it is an internal process that we had to create from whole cloth. The second major change in terms of just the ordinance implementation from the FCC order is that our design standards and our fundamental assumptions about what we could do in terms of design standards had to change. The FCC erased many decades of Ninth Circuit law and replaced it with a new standard in terms of what we as local governments can do for regulating the aesthetics of small wireless facilities. And the new rule is that the city shall not materially inhibit a small wireless facility. And what does that mean? It means that your regulations need to be reasonable, non-discriminatory, objective, and pre-published. I will not go into too much detail except just to tell you that that is a very different standard from the aesthetic standard that was in place under our state law before. So in terms of, I mentioned before, I mentioned the policy earlier and why we're taking a policy approach with respect to these small wireless facilities. You know, as I mentioned earlier, we have a April 15 deadline that we have to meet. The policy, the application forms, which our office is currently working on, will be posted upon the city's website in order to be publicly available. That is actually a special law required by the FCC that it be quote unquote pre-published and publicly available. And by adopting the small wireless facility standards as a resolution, as opposed to incorporating them into the ordinance, it allows us more changeability, as this is a very rapidly changing area of law and also a very rapidly changing area of technology. As the technology changes, our design standards need to change. And we can do that more quickly through a resolution rather than through an ordinance. Basically, applications that do not meet the definition of a small wireless facility will still be processed through a discretionary hearing process, just like similar to a CUP. And then, you know, lastly, one quick note. I really want to thank your staff. Your staff has been amazing. As I mentioned at the beginning of this presentation, this is a very unusual area of land use law in that it is a true hybrid between public works and planning. Public works and planning came together, and they were extremely proactive on putting together a rather daunting amount of material and comments and just interacting with our office right from the outset, even starting last year when this order first came out. I would be happy to answer any further questions following your public hearing.
Okay, thank you very much, Lana. Do any members of the council have any questions? Okay, then I would invite the public to speak on this item. Is there anyone in the audience that would like to make any comments? Okay, then we'll close the public hearing. Oh, yes, ma'am.
Good evening, Mayor Ulloa, members of the council. My name is Michelle Brower with Verizon Wireless. I just want to first and foremost thank you all for hearing this item tonight, and also thank staff for all the work they've put in. Prior to being able to read the ordinance, I did speak with planning staff, both Warren and Brian, and they were great, kind of walking me through the concerns the city has with regards to aesthetics, and really having that open dialogue to come together to try to be a good neighbor, get something that we can deploy that will deploy the technology but still is in line with the aesthetic desires of the city. So definitely want to thank staff for that. You know, with any type of ordinance, there's always going to be more wants, from the industry. So I know that there was a letter submitted from our outside counsel. I just want to, reference that. But I do greatly appreciate the way that the ordinance is written, in the respect that there are, the resolution can be changed as technology changes, and we have 5G, which is potentially coming in a couple of years. At this point, the way Verizon is deploying it, it is a millimeter wave 5G. So there are some challenges with regards to the screening of it. We are looking at opportunities. The way the ordinance is written, it asks for a screen shroud, and we are exploring that, but the millimeter wave has issues having anything in front of it. So that being said, it's an antenna and radio together is kind of how this new technology works. It's about 2 feet by 1 feet. We're looking at potentially putting those in a shroud, but having like a cutout window where those antenna radio combos would just kind of pop out, so that we could meet both the aesthetic desires while still getting that technology to work. Although who knows down the line, what we're looking at as far as technology goes and those changes, but that's definitely what we're looking at now. And then, you know, there may be some challenges with height as far as trying to cram everything in the existing shroud above the light standard, but we'll definitely work with staff to try to come to a common ground. Being a lot of the poles in the city are SCE, those do give us a little bit more challenges because we have to adhere to what SCE's requirements are. And their requirements are focused primarily on seismic, structurals, all of that kind of stuff. So, but again, I want to thank you all for hearing this. Appreciate the city jumping in on this and really moving it forward, and happy to answer any questions you may also have as well.
Thank you, Michelle. Are there any questions of Michelle?
I have one question.
Sure.
Out of my own curiosity, when does Verizon think they will roll out the 5G?
So it is rolling out nationwide. Right now it's
locally.
Just, that I don't know. Unfortunately, I don't have an answer. I wish I could tell you. It just kind of, you know, where our 5G is still being rolled out. It is a process. I do know that, you know, LA right now has our fixed 5G. And there, I believe Chicago was announced as one of the first with the mobile 5G. So there will be more announcements. I know that's definitely an exciting time, but I don't have any specifics for you.
Okay, thank you very much. Okay, is there anyone else in the audience that would like to address the council on this item?
Good evening, Madam Mayor and Council and City staff. Julio Figueroa, Director of External Affairs for AT&T. And in my role, I support all government relations for Riverside and San Bernardino counties. And I'd like to also thank staff. We did approach the city early last year in regards to our interest of wanting to deploy in the city of Chino. So we've been working with him in regards to the designs that we want to deploy here in Chino. I think Michelle said a lot of what I wanted to say in regards to what we're dealing with in regards to designs or limitations, because some of these streetlights are Edison owned, and they only have 2 designs out in the market that they would approve when we provide cellular equipment on top of them. So, but again, thank staff. It's been ongoing for almost a year now in regards to not only the designs but also working with Lana in regards to the master license agreement. We look forward to deploy. And in regards to the question about when will AT&T deploy 5G, we've actually already deployed in LA, but I would say it's safe to say that in Chino and in the Inland Empire, we're probably going to deploy at the end of this year and more than likely next year. I've had about 25 meetings with specific cities just in the Inland Empire in regards to our deployment. What small cells is going to do for AT&T's network, it's going to address the current network, which is the 4G LTE network, capacity and coverage issues. Not only are we having to deal with those areas which are at the streetlight level, which is the neighborhood levels, but we also have to ensure that we provide a network for our first responders. AT&T has a 25-year agreement with the federal government, also known as FirstNet, where we're required to ensure that there is communications between all first responder agencies. So this network will also be working on that as well. And then 5G will come in the next stage, but we look forward to deploying that as soon as possible. And if I can answer any questions you might have in regards to the deployment, I'd be happy to answer that.
Thank you, Julio. Questions? Well, this is a challenging time. I mean, technology is changing, and I know when this first came before us, the thought was these big refrigerator-size attachments to light poles, and we thought, oh my gosh, the public is going to have a fit.
Yeah, when I saw those pictures too, I would have to say that it was pretty scary. Some of these places in the country where they were being placed, so which was giving a bad name to the industry when we wanted to come out and start talking about deploying. But I think we have a couple of designs out there that we've shared with the city that I think the city is gonna like. They're aesthetically pleasing. We'll also work with Edison in regards to eliminating a pedestal. So there's a tariff rate for power. So that'll be one less piece of equipment on the public right-of-way, and we would be paying a tariff rate on power. And I think the designs are something that the city's going to be happy with, and the residents as well. And if we go back all the way to 2007 when the iPhone launched, AT&T's network has increased 370,000% since then. When we were only dealing with calling and text messaging, now it's video streaming and data has taken over the network. So fortunately, unfortunately, we do have to address that, and what we need more spectrum, we need more infrastructure, and we're going to be able to answer that through small cells.
Well, this is going to be an interesting time. I think about when cable TV first came out, or satellite rather, and there were those great big gigantic 6 and 8 foot wide dishes everywhere, and then, you know, they shrunk down now, so technology is definitely challenging.
It is. Hopefully this is probably going to be the network for the next 10, 15 years. Who knows what happens after that, but I think what we're currently building now is going to keep us busy for the next 15 years. Hopefully I'll be retired by then, and someone else will have to worry about the next stage of our technology deployment.
Well, thank you both for being here this
Thank you.
evening. Okay, are there any other comments from the audience? Okay, then I'm going to close the public hearing, and any council further questions? Okay, then I would call for a motion and a second, please.
Just for clarity, that's on all of the items, the urgency ordinance, and the resolution adopting the policy, and those ordinance titles have been read into the record.
Right, thank you. Okay, there's a motion from Mayor Pro Tem Howie, second from Councilman Rodriguez. And the item does pass unanimously. Mr. Galante, if you'd like to read both ordinance titles into the record.
No need. My partner already did that for me. Thank you.
Okay, then the item, I do want to make sure, across the Ts.
Thank you.
Then the item does pass unanimously. Okay, we are done with that item.
Bill's going to go up.
Your bill's going to go up? It probably will. Probably will. Okay, under new business is item number 17, refunding of outstanding 2006 tax allocation bonds. This is to adopt successor agency resolution number 2019-002, authorizing a private placement for the refunding of the outstanding 2006 tax allocation bonds, as well as the proposed amendments to the 2014 indenture. Staff report this evening will be provided by Rob Burns, our Director of Finance.
Good evening, Mayor and members of the City Council. The successor agency currently has 2 outstanding bonds, the 2006 tax allocation bonds and the 2014 A and B tax allocation bonds. Given the current interest rate environment, potential savings are available if we refinance the 2006 tax allocation bonds. The refinancing of these would result in savings of $3.7 million. These savings would be distributed to all the taxing agencies, and Chino would receive about 17% of those savings. Also, the financing team has structured the repayment schedule such that all of the savings are experienced in the first 3 years of the repayment process. Further, we're asking that the 2014 bond trust indentures be amended to allow for the release of the cash reserves that are currently being held. There's $3 million. Those cash reserves would be used to pay down the principal balance of the 2006 bonds, therefore needing to refinance a smaller amount and increasing the interest savings on the refinancing. So with your approval tonight, this refinancing will be presented to the County Oversight Board on April 8th, this coming Monday, for their approval, and then it would be submitted to the Department of Finance for their approval. And they have up to 90 days to give their approval. So it's going to be a lengthy process, but interest rates are looking really good right now, and so we're hoping to reap some significant savings. So with that, I just ask that you would approve Successor Agency Resolution 2019-002, and that concludes my report.
Well, I'd like to congratulate you and staff for always watching out for ways to save the city money. Yeah. We all benefit from that. Yep. So is there anyone in the audience that would like to address this item? Okay, seeing none, any council comments? Okay, then I would entertain a motion to approve item number 17. There's a motion from Councilman Lucio, second from Councilman Rodriguez. Mr. Harper, okay, and the item passes unanimously. Next item on the agenda is mayor and council reports. Okay, since the last council meeting on March 20th, I attended the mayor's prayer breakfast. I also met with Cynthia Moran, the mayor of Chino Hills, and Zeb Welburn, Executive Director of the Chamber, as well as staff, regarding the upcoming leadership conference called Chestnut Checkers that will be held on August 26th, featuring guest speaker Mr. Mark Miller. On Thursday, the 21st, I attended the Watermaster Appropriative Pool Confidential session, which was followed by the Watermaster Advisory Committee. With the conclusion of the court hearing that was held on the 15th, the meeting was very short, but no doubt will pick back up in the next coming months. Following that was the Optimum Basin Management Plan Update, lesson number 3 workshop. Very, very long and involved, but a very good workshop regarding the management of our water going forward in the future. Friday, March 22nd, I toured the Waste Management's Material Recovery Facility and Transfer Station in Azusa with Councilmember Hargrove and Deputy City Manager Vivian Castro. This tour was really educational and quite eye-opening in what happens to the trash that we so casually throw into the bin. The problems that some of the stuff we throw away can cause often. And I'm sure Mr. Hargrove will follow up with more information. On Tuesday, the 26th, I attended the Watermaster Budget Release Review meeting and then the West Valley Mosquito and Vector Control District meeting. I want you to please be aware of any standing water. Mosquitoes can breed in less than a tablespoon of water, and mosquito-borne diseases are on the uptick, and they're going to be with the increase in temperatures. So please wear protective clothing, appropriate protective clothing, and also use mosquito repellent with DEET. It's very, very important. These little critters, as tiny as they are, can kill you with the diseases that they carry. Thursday, the 28th, I attended the Watermaster Board of Directors meeting where the main topic of discussion was the court hearing that was held on the 15th of March. That court hearing covered the safe fuel issues for 2010, which appears to be resolved. Court ordered Watermaster to implement the requested CAMA amendments, and that has resulted in a dismissal of the appeal of the 2017 court order. I understand all this is gibberish. The non-ag pool got court approval for changes to its pooling plan. The ag pool and Watermaster staff got the court to include language in the order regarding safe yield reset technology. And Watermaster staff is working to revise the assessment packages per the court's 2017 order. What all of this means is that our costs are going to increase. Hopefully our water supply will be more secure, but there are lots of more meetings coming. And then today I met with representatives from the Chino Police Department to receive information regarding their pay and benefits. Okay, now, I'd like to set the record straight on chit-chat that apparently is going around. Members of this city council are independent individuals who do their own research and come to their own conclusions on issues and items of concern in this community. There is no one that is under my control or beholding to me for any reason. I do not control a gang of people or attempt to strong-arm anyone into my way of thinking, and anyone who suggests that any member of this council is under my control, is sadly misinformed. I believe that we each have a right to our own opinions and should be able to make our own decisions based on those opinions, on facts, on experience, and concern for our community without being accused of manipulation. Over the years, and I've been on this council for 35 years, there have been 5-0 votes on issues, there have been 4-1 votes, and there have been 3-2 votes. And it will happen in the future because of individuality and our duty to the community. Split decisions and disagreements are healthy for a community because it takes diverse opinions in order to ensure that all aspects of any issue are thoroughly examined. Mayor Pro Tem Tom Howie.
Thank you, Mayor. I think I'm going to go back to your gibberish comment. I was reading a couple weeks ago Al McCombs in the Champion, and if you saw it, he had an article talking about old sayings of how they've kind of gone away, or there's so many things that we grew up. It sounds like gibberish would be one of those. I don't think a lot of the young people today would know what gibberish is, but that's a good comment to make. Let's see. So in the last couple of weeks, I attended on March 21st the Water Facilities Board meeting and also the Chino DeSalter Board meeting. That was on Thursday. And then on Thursday night out in the preserve, we had another community meeting. We've had a couple now out there, and it's good to see some residents in the preserve coming to get an idea of what's going on as far as traffic and road closures and finding out about building and the different things. So I think this Thursday night is another one we have. That's correct. So we're continuing to have meetings out there across from the Park House on Main Street there, and next to the library. So from 6 o'clock to 8 o'clock on every other Thursday night. This Thursday night, April 4th, will be the next one. I also did go to the waste management transfer station to see the trash, and it's a huge building. And all of a sudden, these trucks pull in, trash trucks pull in, they dump all their trash, and then a skip loader comes over and pushes it all over, and the truck leaves, and they just line these trucks up. It was real interesting, and they had two big piles in this building, and they asked us, so what pile is the trash and what pile is the recycling? And I looked at both piles. I go, look the same to me. I really, you could not tell the difference between the recycling or the difference with the trash. And I think they're having a lot of problems with recycling now, and just the amount of, and then they put them on these conveyor belts. All the recycling was trying to go through, and but the process is like 3 or 4 different, trying to get the clean paper and plastic out. And here comes all the recycling, and they got pickers right there. And I see the one picker, he grabs a big blanket out of the recycling, throws the blanket out. And, like what, people throwing blankets in recycling? And then also there was like big plastic toys and things like that. And they're just, these guys, people are, it's a tough job. They're pulling things out like crazy out of recycling.
Hoses.
Yeah, hoses. I mean, it was interesting. So it was a trash day last week that we went. Let's see what else. So I want to remind everybody that this Saturday is at Chaffey College at 10 a.m. Chino campus is the Prado Park planning meeting, the next meeting. So come on out. It's a public meeting. You can voice your opinion on what you would like to see out at the county's our city Prado Park out there, because this is like the third meeting now, I think, and they're still trying to get ideas for that. So that's this Saturday. April the 6th at 10 a.m. at Chaffey College Chino campus. And last but not least, I would be remiss if I didn't mention the Seroptimists this Sunday, April 7th, having their major fundraiser, the Beer, Brew, and Chew. I think they have like 18 different beer vendors, craft beer vendors are going to be out there, and it's your chance to, if you're not a beer aficionado, you could become one, because you'll have an opportunity to trace them. Why are you shaking your head back there, Brenda? Anyway, so that is it's a lot of fun. It's from 1 to 5 out at the Chino Fairgrounds across from Yalla Park. Okay, so come on out and have a good time. That concludes my comments.
Okay, Councilmember Hargrove.
So I guess we'll all talk about trash tonight, but it was an amazing tour. The mayor and I went together, and Deputy City Manager. I was amazed also. I just didn't think I would enjoy, seeing a trash facility, but what they do there is just amazing. What I didn't realize was they asked the question, what do you do with your pizza boxes when you're done ordering pizza at the home? And I told them my answer was exactly what I do. I throw it in the recycle. Cardboard goes in the recyclable. And they said, no, unfortunately, China has changed the way, and we ship all of our recycling materials to China that we can. And previously in the past, not too long ago, they took everything. So they no longer take it. They think they said something, and I think they plan on coming and giving us a presentation at some point, which I welcome, because it's pretty fascinating. 0.5% contamination. So really what that means is they open up a bundle, and if it's contaminated, they put it back on the ship that brought it over and send it back to us. So those costs associated with it. At our own expense, not at their expense. So they're really trying to get ahead, I believe, of what's happening. It's inevitable that China is either trying to clean up their environment in the world, and What I saw at the end of that, like all things that are presented, it's all about the almighty dollar. How much is it going to cost you to pay for the differences? So pay attention to that, because it's going to affect the pocketbook again if they're not making money on those recyclables. On March 27th, I met with the American Legion Vice Commander Fred Kelly. Had a nice tour of the facility, although I'm a member and have been there before, but he just wanted to present some ideas to me, which we'll follow up on and see what the city can do to assist them in any way they can. That'd be great. And then a quick report is, last week there was legislation proposed by Assembly Member Freddie Rodriguez. Its name is Assembly Bill 675, which is prison security assessments. And in essence, what this is it's a mandate to the Department of Corrections that every CDCR, California Department of Correction Rehabilitation prison or facility would have a mandate to inspect security inspections on their prison facilities with every 4 years, minimally. And within that component is deficiencies that are identified will be reported to the legislation in California and the local city government, primarily the police department, letting them know what deficiencies exist. And they would ultimately, hopefully it'll be contained within that bill, they have a year in which to correct that. It's kind of high hopes, having that longevity that I've had in the department to see. I hope it still goes through. This Public Safety Committee and the Assembly passed it with 8-0. They're going to move it on now to the Appropriations Committee, and we'll see how that goes. But we'll keep our fingers crossed that that occurs. I think it's beneficial. Can't be anything but beneficial. Safety and security of the community. And then lastly, congratulations to Chino Police Department for mugging. I know that's a big thing. Even when our department when they brought that mug, it was quite an accomplishment. So congratulations. And that concludes my report.
Okay, we're going to expect an explanation from Karen on what is mugging, right? Thank you, Mark. Mr. Lucio.
Yes. On March 22nd, I toured the preserve with State Senator Connie Leyva. We met with Randall Lewis and representatives from the Building Industry Association. We toured the Harvest model homes in the preserve, and they showed us, even though my son lives in that community with his mom, there was parts there that I'd never seen before. They have a community garden there where they raise, plant fruit and vegetables. They said that they have, and I looked, and they had various trees with lemons, oranges, limes, and the community that lives there is welcome to pick those and take them home. And it's just a way that they feel that by having these things outside, people go outside, they'll walk, they'll be a little bit more involved in the community, and they'll be able to talk a little bit more. I also toured their apartment complex that's across the street. They classify them as luxury apartments. I really didn't know how nice they were until I toured them. Some of the amenities that they had was phenomenal. Apparently they'll walk your dog if you have a dog and you live there. And you just got to tell them, my dog needs to be walked around this time, and they'll go out there and walk him. They also do your dry cleaning. The gym was amazing. They have Zumba classes and yoga and CrossFit and everything else, all included with their association fee. But it was nice to see, because I think a lot of us, when we hear apartments, we automatically assume that the apartments are not nice apartments, but these completely changed my view of these luxury apartments. Were very, very nice, and they were very well done. And I think they were definitely hitting the demographics that they wanted. And it was a number of, it wasn't just one ethnic race. You had Chinese, you had Japanese, you had Hispanics, blacks, whites. Everybody was there, and they seemed to all enjoy living that lifestyle. So for people that want to live that low, no maintenance, no yard type lifestyle, definitely is a place to look at if that's something that you're interested in. But and then also the good thing about Chino is we have the ability to also have homes where, if you want that yard, we're able to give it to you. So that was good to see, at least both spectrums. On the 29th of March, I met with Sylvia Avalos, and we went scouting different locations. We went to 2 different churches to look for potential wrestling rooms if we were to start a wrestling program. I just want to thank the Living Word for allowing us to go tour their facility, as well as Cross Point Church, both 2 beautiful churches, and I really appreciate the fact that they were open to getting a community-based, city-sponsored wrestling program if we were able to get it off the ground. But it was nice to tour different facilities and get a different outlook and to see what's out there and potentially what could work. And that's all I have for my report.
Okay, Councilman Rodriguez.
Okay. March 21st, I attended the Mothers Against Drunk Driving luncheon, which was very, very well attended by many different departments throughout the Inland Empire, including California Highway Patrol. And it's quite an honor to be there to see all the hard work and sacrifice that our officers do to keep us safe, to keep our families safe, and to keep our neighborhoods safe. And they do a tremendous job. And the celebration was just tremendous. It was just very, very, very good. And I was very happy that we were there and our department was represented well also. March 25th, I also attended the waste management tour, and I'm looking forward to the presentation that we will be having here at the council to help us understand what goes to recycle and what is trash. And I learned a few things there myself concerning the pizza boxes and the people working there. I mean, it goes to tell you that they have this conveyor belt. There's at least maybe 4 or 5 people there, and they're just quickly pulling these things out fast. And for me, I don't think $15 an hour is very, very much, but they do this at a quick pace. And if they're not quick enough, if a hose goes through there or something like this, it could shut down the whole plant for a day or so, which could be very, very costly. So I'm looking forward that with the presentation that we have later on with Glenda and Waste Management. March 28th, I attended the State of the Region Economic Conference hosted and presented by Dr. Husing here in Ontario. And it was quite a eye-opening because when you look at the Inland Empire, it is true when you really think about it, we are affected a lot, and we don't really think about it with e-commerce, meaning that a lot of malls, a lot of shopping centers are affected because people nowadays are shopping online. So a lot of stores are closing up. But there is a big need that where he pointed out with getting youth to not only encourage them, but also to inspire them to get certifications at Chaffey College or local colleges for trades, to become welders, to become plumbers. There's always going to be a need in society, not only for white collar, traditional white collars such as education and lawyers and so forth, but trades. So the certifications are there, and there's a big need that we move towards that. And there was a mention in the discussion, the idea also of the housing for middle class that he described, that there's a strong need of the crisis of that we need to tackle and look at ways to increase middle class areas for the middle class and also for youth to remain in our area, because we are losing competition with other states concerning brain power and also workers. We have nice programs out here with Chaffey and surrounding colleges, but once they're trained, there's nowhere they can live, so they move out to Texas, where their Texans are offering them not only a job, but also a house with land. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens in the near and very close future with that. Yesterday, April 1st, I am part of the committee for the Regional Housing Needs Assessment, and here again, a big discussion concerning the assembly bills and Senate bills that are going through the state legislature concerning how we can develop and tackle the big need for the housing shortage that we have here in Southern California and throughout the state. And when you think about it, nationally too, and even in Canada. So very, very important to keep an update on that, and I'm very fortunate to be on that committee to understand and to get that information to share with the council here in the community. So that ends my report.
Okay, Mr. Ballantyne, any report this
I have
evening?
no report, Mayor. Thank you.
Mr. Galante.
I don't have a report either. Thank you.
Okay, Chief. What is this mugging thing?
Good evening, Mayor, and thank you for your support of the Baker to Vegas team again this year. Mugging, Mayor, in the Baker to Vegas Challenge Cup Relay is essentially your trophy. It's law enforcement teams from not just across the United States, but actually even as far away as Belize. These are, some of them are very, very elite runners, and some of them are just runners like myself, and we're racing across the desert. There's about 8,000 runners from start to finish. It's a 20-leg relay, 120 miles, the old road out of Baker and through Pahrump and then back into Vegas. And it's just it's a lot of camaraderie. It's a great weekend for law enforcement. And whatever division you're in, based off of your category, age, male, female team combo, combined teams, if there's, say for example, 20 teams in your category, then the top 10 teams, the top 50% of the teams are awarded what's called a mug. And mugging is, essentially there's a celebration at the end of the race, and if you don't mug, you really don't want to be there. It's everybody parading around with mugs, and if you don't have a mug, it's really not that great, honestly. So I've been without a mug before. It was just like, I felt like kicking my dog when I got home. And just, honestly, if you're going to the celebration at the end, you want to have a mug in hand.
What's in the mug?
There's nothing. Traditionally, they're filled with a beer afterwards. There's, lots of police officers out there celebrating with their mugs. But it's very much so an esteemed prize to bring home a mug from Baker to Vegas, and it's a very long ride home if you don't bring one home. So,
well, congratulations.
I do have just a couple of other announcements. You may have actually gotten some concerns from some of your constituency. As you know, on March 21st, just before we're all headed out to Baker to Vegas, we had a homicide at 12510 Central Avenue. Regretfully, a woman from the city of Montclair lost her life there. But this happened at about 2:40 in the afternoon, and right at about the same time on that day, St. Margaret's School was actually being released for the day. And they were being released in stages from that location. And we actually talked about sending a police officer over to the school to assist with them, provide some uniform presence, potentially even consider putting them on lockdown while there was a little bit of confusion and chaos while we're trying to secure that scene. It was very chaotic, and our personnel performed quite well, and they did a great job. Regretfully, that did not happen for St. Margaret's School. We did not get that school on lockdown. We did not send a police officer over there. And several of the parents expressed a concern directly to me. They expressed it to the city manager's office and administration. I was out of town. I asked my captain, Captain Minson, and Lieutenant Cobble to go over and meet directly with the principal. I just wanted to apologize to the principal and to those parents there. I want them to know that, we know how iconic St. Margaret's Church is to this community, to the parishioners. As you know, Officer Menendez's funeral was there. We have a connection to that community, and I apologize to them. I believe that we could have performed better. We committed to doing some training with them, and should we have an incident like that again in the future, I believe that we will perform better and help them in the future. So I just wanted to offer that to that community and let them know that we do care about them, and we fell short, I believe, of their expectation that day. So there's that, and then of course, lastly is it's April's Distracted Driver Month. And we partner with the California Office of Traffic Safety and the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration. We'll be doing some distracted driver enforcement, some targeted enforcement on the 5th of April, the 10th and the 12th. As you know, distracted driving is a serious concern. Please do not drive distracted. And it doesn't just include texting. It includes paying attention to your MapQuest or eating or your kids or anything else that's going on in our cars nowadays that can distract us. It's a very serious problem. I myself have my phones now set. It's amazing if you just turn on your phones to not get those texts while you're driving. When you don't get them, you don't have the urge to read them. Because I don't have that on, even I have the urge to read them myself, but that notification goes out. I don't even know I've gotten the text till I arrive, and it really can change your driving habits for the better. As commuters, it is not uncommon to see people either on their phone or reading their phones while they're driving. I'm sure we've all behind somebody either on the road or on the freeway where they almost look intoxicated because of how they're driving. You can almost see, and when you pass that person, they've got their head buried in that phone. So please, Please do not drive distracted. We'll be out, conducting some specific enforcement, and that concludes my report for this evening.
Thank you very much, Karen.
Thank you.
It is rather shocking, sounds really too extreme, but I can't believe how many people are on their phones while they're driving. I mean, just
it's a problem.
blatantly on their phones. They don't even try to hide it.
Yeah, there's a lot of people distracted by their phones every day, which is why we want to bring public education. What we want is compliance. We just want people to get off their phone and pay attention so they don't hit bicyclists or pedestrians and don't run through traffic signals and cause traffic accidents.
Just pull over, pull over.
Yep. Or use your Bluetooth device.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, thank you very much,
Thank you, Mayor.
And we have Chief Shackelford this evening. What do we owe this great honor to?
Good evening, Mayor and Council. How are you this evening?
Good.
Just 2 items for you tonight. In the coming weeks, hopefully not you, and hopefully no one in this room, but we will be sending out courtesy cards. Those are reminders for properties that are non-compliant with our weed abatements issues. So our staff started earlier this year to give the public more of an opportunity to comply. Those notices should be out by the 15th of this month, and the final compliance deadline is still May 15th. That has not changed, but please comply. The fee structure has changed. We went through that process last year. We had some folks who were unhappy about that. Our goal is to not abate the weeds through a process. We would rather have the homeowner, the property owner, take care of it on their own, but we will do that if necessary if they do not comply by May 15th. If they would like additional information or have any questions, there is information on the courtesy card, but they could also reach us at 909-902-5280, and that's the community risk reduction number, or our website, chinovalleyfire.org. Secondly, our staff will be, you'll see Fire District apparatus and personnel at Ayala Park, 9th, 11th, and 12th, performing some training. We're going to do some EMS mass casualty training in coordination with ambulance personnel. So if the public sees any of our personnel and apparatus there, there's not an incident. Our folks are just using that location for a training site. And that concludes my report for this evening.
Thank you very much,
Thank you.
Tim. Okay, with that, we will adjourn to our next regular meeting on April 16th at 7 o'clock, closed session at 6 if necessary, and these council changers. We are